Okay, folks, the time is approximately 6:05 on April 23rd, 2026. Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meeting will now begin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and online. I want to thank you for your presence at tonight's Board Mayor and Alderman meeting. My name is Ron Williams, the fourth elected mayor of town of Farragut. We appreciate that each of you has taken your time from your busy schedules to either attend or view tonight's meeting online. This will be a great example of how our town government works tonight, for sure. All Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meetings are public notice per Tennessee state law. All board meeting minutes are taken and are available. Each meeting will be recorded and can be viewed at a later date on YouTube. If you are in attendance, you should be able to pick up a copy of tonight's agenda at the door when you came in. If you could not attend tonight and are viewing from home, then the agenda is available online on our website. For those in attendance that would like to speak, please pick up a blue card at the door and write your name and agenda number you wish to comment on. There will be also time reserved near the end of the meeting for citizens' comments on non-agenda subjects, which also requires that you fill out a blue card with citizen comments as the time you wish to speak. On each agenda item, the mayor will ask the town administrator for the residents' input. During this time, any Farragut resident wishing to speak to the board on that specific agenda item may do so for up to 3 minutes. After being recognized by the mayor, please go to the podium microphone to be heard and viewed by all. What that means is that you push the green button in order to talk. To conduct business-like meetings, the town has adopted rules for how its meetings will be conducted. Primarily, these rules are designed to keep the meeting moving, to assure that all points of view are heard and considered, and to provide common courtesy to everyone. We ask that you observe the established meeting rules when you address the board. At the beginning of your presentation, please state your name and address for the record. We ask that you address all your questions to the mayor, or in his absence, the vice mayor to my right. Do not direct questions to alderman or staff members. If necessary, the mayor may call on an alderman or staff member concerning your question or comments. Once you've given your input, please return to your seat so we can continue the meeting. We ask that every speaker avoid the use of improper language, profanity, or other inappropriate conduct, and address issues, not individuals or personalities or malicious comments or threats. Speakers should strive to avoid redundancy and should have their own original viewpoints. We ask that you also stay on topic for each agenda item. Okay, meeting call to order. We'll start tonight's meeting with a roll call by our town recorder for a quorum.
Alderman Burnett.
Here.
Alderman Kane.
Here.
Alderman LaCroix.
Here.
Vice Mayor Meyer.
Here.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams here. We do have a quorum and has been recognized. Now please join me by standing if you're able for election or reflection of our country's veteran, along with a pledge of allegiance to our country's flag, led tonight by our 2 scouts that we have in the back. Okay, thank you. We always like to recognize our scouts to do the pledge. Okay. Next will be approval of the agenda, and I think David has some agenda, something to talk about here.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is a rare occurrence, but we have made a clerical error, I did, on in the paper this week. We actually advertised it as an April 9th agenda when it should have been an April 23rd agenda. Although all the agenda items are properly noticed, they're all on the agenda, that date was not changed. So out of an abundance of caution, I would just ask that we defer tonight's items that the board is going to be voting on for the next meeting or to a special called meeting as determined by the board if you'd like to do that. We do have 3 weeks in between board meetings this time, and so we have a little bit of an extra week in there if you want to try to make up for that, or just have a larger agenda item meeting in May. And I apologize for that.
Okay, due to the the fact that we are preparing the budget, I think we probably ought to go ahead and have a called meeting, and I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mayor, what date would you like to move that to? I think that would be the question for the board, when you'd be available. Certainly, April 7th would be 2 Thursdays from now. That would be a possibility, or we could do it any night of the week if it was more readily available to the board members.
And let's get a consensus from the rest of the board members, okay? I'm pretty well open, but let's start with Alderman Burnett. I think everybody's going to be looking at their calendars on their phones.
How far out does it need to be?
It needs to be about 2 weeks out for proper notice.
For proper notice and usually.
We could do the 6th or the 7th, May 6th, 7th, or 8th. It could be at any time as well.
Have the 7th available. Is that?
I'm good with the 7th.
Seventh, how about you?
Yeah, I can do that.
Alex? Okay, everybody?
That gives us enough time.
We got a consensus for the 7th.
So we'll need a motion to have a special call meeting on that May 7th.
I amend my motion for a special call meeting on the 7th.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, carries.
So Mayor, with that, then we will go ahead and advertise for a special call meeting on May the 7th at 6 p.m. here at the Town Hall. And it'll be the purpose of having the exact same agenda that we have tonight. We'll just make sure we get that properly in the paper and ready to go for that meeting. So we would not have any other agenda items for this evening for the board to approve.
Okay, I apologize to the folks that turned out tonight for the agenda that we had published, and we will resume on the 7th at 6 p.m. Well, yes, this is something that it needs to be discussed, and this is as good a time as any to go ahead and do it, since we don't have anything else that we're going to be talking about. But before our April 19th meeting, the board held a workshop to continue our budget discussions, including proposed new staff positions. These workshops, just like those we've held since February, exist so the board members can openly raise concerns, ask questions, and offer suggestions. This is the purpose of these sessions and the responsibility of each of us as elected official to fulfill. During the April 9th workshop, we discussed several positions. For example, Alderman LaCroix shared detailed thoughts on the proposed IT roles and what they would be paid and what the pay level was of some of the ones that he deals with, since that's what he does for a living. And we also discussed the proposed economic development coordinator. And throughout that discussion, Alderman Kane offered no comments, no questions, no concerns, no feedback on the role or its responsibility or its cost. That's why I'm surprised to open the April 15th Farragut Press and find a letter from Alderman Kane outlining the extensive concerns about this very position. His letter included detailed assertions about the role, assertions that were not raised during our workshop, and several statements that, in my view, mischaracterizes the duties of the Economic Development Coordinator. Some of those misstatements have since been circulated on social media. To ensure the public receives accurate information, I believe this board should revisit this discussion in open session. If the job description needs clarification, this is appropriate venue to do it. And given Alderman Kane's newly expressed concerns, I ask that he share with the board and the community the specific details and reasoning behind this position. Doing so will allow us to correct the record and provide clear factual information about this important road. And I do have copies sitting at everybody's seat there to look at. I think we do have Economic Development Coordinator, and this actually outlines the discussion, and I'll start off with Alderman Keynes. You have the floor on this.
Mr. Mayor, after we started going through the workshop, I'd actually met with Mr. Smoke beforehand, and we went through a lot of what we were going to talk about in the workshop, and then after we looked at it, I went home and thought about it some more, and then and that's why I wrote the letter like I did, because I felt that this is exactly what was needed for this type of position, is a discussion in a public forum. The workshop is great, but it's not available to people that can't make it. They can't see it at home. They may not be able to make it at 5 o'clock. And I felt that this is going to be the best spot to debate and discuss this position that's going forward into our new budget. And at that point, I felt it was necessary to make sure that everybody understood what was being proposed. And I'm surprised that we're going to bring it up like this tonight. I do think that we need to have a good, open discussion about it, because it's an awful lot of money to be put into the budget for a position as a staff member, and then we turn around and we look, and if you look at the mission of the Farragut Business Alliance and the mission of the West Knox Farragut Chamber of Commerce, they follow almost the same type of professional work as the general definition of this job description, and we provide them with a lot of money every year out of our budget to do exactly what this job entails, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, of course, this will not be a debate. Just so you know, this will actually just be a discussion. But what my thought about this is, I was actually around whenever we had 3 guys that were part of the FBA at the time, and then the Mayor McGill, that went to Vegas, and what they done was they tried to recruit the businesses to come into town to kind of get Jumpstart, which was a revitalization of our town. It was in very much a decline at the time. We had 13 empty buildings. We had Kroger's that was a graffiti palette. We had Ingles, it was empty. Our main corner had an empty gas station, an empty Ruby Tuesdays, an old house that was in decline with a dog barn right next to it. That's pretty much what our town looked like. And so with that said, the linchpin for this whole program of them recruiting, and I can name them if it's necessary, but was to recruit Costco. And that's what got it started. And then from there, they continued to recruit other businesses, because us being a sales tax-based town, it's really critical that we have constant income coming from the sales tax, because the Knox County gets all of our property tax, and by the way, we just only get half the sales tax and half the liquor tax. And of that property tax that we pay Knox County, 31% of that goes to the schools, 69% of it goes to the police department for the police protection that we don't have, so at the moment. So this is really how it got started. And whenever 2 of these folks passed away, and then the mayor passed away, and then the one guy that was left, Jim Nixon, he retired. So we really didn't have anybody to get out there and sell Farragut. When you look at the FBA now, they don't sell Farragut. That's not what they do. You look at the chamber, and they don't sell Farragut. The chamber sells all of West Knoxville and even into other counties. So it's their job is not to sell Farragut. And then when you look at our tourism, that's another group, and they do sort of sell Farragut, but in a different way. They're not trying to recruit businesses. They're trying to recruit people to come and visit our town and stay in the hotels. So when you look at this, we've had a void for quite some time of a recruiter. And I think if you look around, you'll see that we're getting close to being built out, okay? We've got two major pieces of property that's left. And plus, we still got a few pieces left in town center, and which I think should be filling up pretty soon. And you're starting to see the far west end to develop, the Dixie Lee area, and then the two pieces of property I'm talking about are the Ford property and the Biddle property. And when you look at how they are land used and zoned, what you'll see there is the very front portion of both of them are commercial. And so we have quite a bit of commercial left. We still have a couple more pieces of property that could be built commercial, and one right beside the fire hall. So it's there's commercial yet to happen, and we have a constant turnover and have had for years. It's just like any other area of town. People come and they go wherever, they feel is the best place for their business. And so when you look at the West End Center, some of those, they're pretty stable, but then some of the others are not. And then we've still got the Old Ingalls that was refitted, but has not really been rented due to their position as far as how they want to keep it the way it is. But and then you also see Village Green that's starting to get turnover there. So we're going to have that for some time to come. And I think the whole purpose of the person that we're discussing here tonight, which is Economic Development Coordinator, is somebody that can get out there and sell. They can go to Las Vegas. They can recruit people to come here to our town, which provides us with sales tax. I think that's what, and I normally don't go first on speaking, but I wanted to set the stage for what we had, but we don't have anymore. And so with that said, I'll start with Joe LaCroix, who has raised his hand.
I didn't, I was pointing at him, no. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, reading the article, I was kind of confused because there was some mischaracterizations of this position. For example, this position, Mr. Kane said that this position was going to be a commercial developer, that this position would take over the responsibilities of the FBA and the chamber. That this position would become a realtor or provide services of a realtor. And I went through it again, and while I'm looking at the job description, and I could very easily see where we could refine the verbiage in it, I can't find a single reference to this position being a commercial developer or a realtor or taking over the FBA or the chamber. As a matter of fact, in here it says regional partnerships and coordination serves as town liaison with regional and local economic development partners. That would be the FBA and the Chamber of Commerce. And I also want to point out, Mr. Mayor, you said that the Chamber of Commerce isn't focused on Farragut, and that is correct. And the FBA, in their statements, on their website, they do not do business development. They are a support structure for local business, but they don't do economic development whatsoever. Another piece is this position over the years has been chopped up and put into different people's plates. Mr. Smoke was, for a time, had some of this. Trevor Hobbs had some of this. Ron Osterreich had some of these duties and responsibilities. This position consolidates those essential functions that we would need to maintain our business development and, once again, as you say, raise our sales tax revenue. The other thing that really stands out to me is the relationship building. We have all sat up here and heard how the town has been criticized by businesses for our lack of response, for not knowing where to go. If you went today to our website and looked for a business development position, or who do I contact as a business wanting to start in the town of Farragut, what you would find is a page that discusses it, but there's no contact information, there's nowhere to go. So this position would be that person that builds relationships with business owners, property owners, commercial stakeholders, the Chamber of Commerce, once again, and area business cooperatives. Once again, collaboration with the FBA and the Chamber. This position is not a realtor. This position will work with the realtors. We would have information as the position analyzes business activity and data, and would be able to work with realtors who are representing businesses in the community wanting to come to the town of Farragut. I think the biggest piece, once again, going back, is this position will be an advocate for the businesses within the internal structure of the town of Farragut. They would be the ones to go and talk to the community development folks and say, hey, where are we at on this project, on this build out for this this business who is, and truly some of the smaller businesses that we have in our community, this might be their first time that they've ever built out a retail shop or a restaurant, and they don't know where to go and how to do that. So this position is really an advocate for that. Do we need to go back and redraw or clarify the position? I don't know. I think staff did a great job, but I think what we need to really do when we leave here tonight is give Mr. Smoke and staff clear guidance on where the board stands and where we need to go, where we need to move forward with this position. And that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Burnett, you ready?
I'm as ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay,
Sorry, I
thank
was
you. Go right ahead.
Just making some notes down here. I just pulled up this letter to the editor as I was sitting up here. Yeah, I don't, I guess, I mean, saying that this is the best place to discuss this in the newspaper, I fully disagree with that. I mean, that's why we have workshops, that's why we have board meetings. That is the time to discuss this exact type of thing. So I don't understand how taking it to the newspaper seems like a logical step, but just some notes as I'm set up here and read this letter. The duplication of roles, I think that being said means that that it's not understood what the roles are and what the economic development coordinator role would be. None of, the West Knox Chamber and the FBA do great things, but they don't do what this is designed to do. They don't work in-house here, and when a small business needs help and maybe something's gone wrong, a policy needs to be changed, there's no crossover whatsoever with FBA and West Knox Chamber. None of them work here. That was one of the ideas behind having somebody on staff, is they could immediately walk over here, have the meetings done, and go address it with the business owner. That can't be, there's no duplication. There's nobody else that can do that and help a business owner like that. I read difficulties leasing the empty spaces at Biddle Farms. To my knowledge, it's 100% leased out. Now, I thought Bud was here tonight.
He is.
Sorry, didn't mean to call you out of the blue.
Put him on the spot.
Am I wrong in that we're fully leased?
Mr. Mayor, we're having the discussion. We're gonna bring people from the audience in on this.
It's public.
We're not.
Okay, how about this? Don't step up. Could you just nod if I'm right, or say no if I'm wrong? Is it leased?
Are essentially right. There's still two places that have not been open. We have recently signed deals for the last two spaces.
So if somebody wants to move in, they can't. because it's fully leased. Okay, so I'm not understanding that. I didn't understand Farragut's entering the commercial development business. We've had strong performance without an economic development director. We have had staff that have been focused on economic development. That was a position that went away about a year ago. I worked very closely with him to work with contractors, to work with small businesses. Over the last 8 years, how many ribbon cuttings I've gone to and had discussions, and one of the things we put into place was to have a anonymous survey filled out so that the small business owner, you know, there's this thought like, maybe they're gonna come get us afterwards if I give harsh feedback. And so we got an anonymous survey that economic development coordinator put out to small businesses and people that pull, do work in the town. So we've had that, and then that went away when that position went away. So we have benefited from somebody doing that position. The bottom line, we hear a lot, Farragut's terrible to do business with. A lot of that is focused 10, 15 years ago, but we still have ways to go. I'm never satisfied with my performance at work, with our performance. I always want us to do better, but that stigma is still out there, which is exactly what a position like this is meant to address, being more business friendly. Sorry, I don't have any more thoughts. That was just as I read the letter. And
Okay, Vice Mayor, you're up.
Well, Joe and Drew said it all, basically, so I'll just reiterate. I think that there's been a discombobulated effort for business development in Farragut for a while, and I think that this position meets that need. I also think there needs to be a point of contact for businesses to reach out to get through the town requirements. We follow the codes, unlike other municipalities. And it's important that we make sure that those businesses are supported and are successful. And I think that this position also will warrant that.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Okay, we'll continue on with Alex. You're up again.
Yeah, well, Drew, just to point out, you said you read in there that I said that we were going to become realtors. It said this position could. It didn't ever said we are, first of all. It did not say we're going to. It did not say in the letter that we were going to become real estate agents for developers and so on. It says that it could all turn into that or morph into it or grow into it. And you look at right here under development, redevelopment coordination, it says serve as a liaison between developers and property owners. All right. Under corridor and business environment monitoring, assist in identifying opportunities for revitalization, reinvestment, and economic activation. If you look at the mission statement of the Farragut Business Alliance, it says right here that a positive impact on the Farragut's business community's growth, reputation, contribution to sales tax revenue by educating and informing the public, motivating retail purchases, encouraging investments, and providing opportunities for professional networking, collaboration, and cross-promotion amongst businesses. It says it right in their mission statement. If you look at the visitfarragut.org mission statement, it says right here, the program is focused on growing business-related revenue through supporting our town's retail, entertainment, dining, and hospitality-oriented businesses. When our local businesses thrive, the town thrives. So when you look at that, we're spending money with these different organizations, and I'll get to the chamber, their mission statement right here. Serving the business community since 1987, the Farragut West Knox Chamber mission is to strengthen, promote, and create business opportunities through relationships and education that encourage member success. So we have organizations out there that are working for us to provide businesses for us and find businesses for them. We're paying those organizations already. The whole point was if we move down this road, we're going to have duplication. We're going to be paying the chamber. We're going to be paying the Farragut Business Alliance. And we also have an internal department called the Visit Farragut Tourism Department. We're spending money there already. There's got to be a way we could take this position, reduce the almost $125,000 price tag on it with salary and benefits, and figure out a way for all three of those plus us to create that. So to work in that position. If we add this position here, there's so many avenues it can go down. Honestly, when you look at this job, the definition, it's all over the place. It's a pretty, and they could, I mean, there's a possibility where we start to turn into some of these. It really could. I don't want to see it that way, but it really could. But at the same time, we're spending a lot of other money already on organizations that do this. Plus, there are other economic development regions. We have those different regions and so on here. Those people can also help with businesses in Farragut. So.
Right.
It wasn't all directed toward you, but you
No,
mentioned the
that's
part
okay.
about the letter. And so I just, there's a lot of things here and we're spending a lot of money already on programs and different groups that are out here helping us find businesses for the town.
Okay, to start off with, whenever the chamber was first started, it was focused in Farragut. But then whenever the actual chamber changed and decided that just being in Farragut was not going to be any growth for them, because they're kind of a membership-based group. So what they had to do was to go everywhere, and they have went everywhere. And of course, we don't give them that much money. We give actually Farragut High School more money than we do them. So.
We gave them $35,000 last year.
Well, we give Farragut High School a lot
Well, I
more
understand it, but I'm just saying, we gave them $35,000.
Well, that's the one thing that, they have morphed into being everywhere. As far as the FBA, they had Steve Krapowski, who was a great event organizer. That was his cup of tea. He was not somebody that can get out and make calls and try to go to Vegas and do what needed to be done to try to get businesses to come to Farragut. That wasn't Steve's deal, and he told you right up front, but he is a great coordinator. He did, dog days, there's a whole lot of things that Steve did that, he could get everything lined up, the generator, the porta potties, the food trucks, everything to where we would have a great event. And, but again, he was not a salesman. And so the deal there is to get out and to recruit. That's the name of the game. If you don't talk to somebody, you're not going to get them interested. And of course, you brought up Bud Cullum. He gets people in and puts them in buildings. And anybody that we can send his way, I know he's most appreciative. So it's, like I said, it started off with Costco, and it's grown from there. And we continually have turnover. And when we have turnover, we've got to have replacements. So I think the coordinator would be somebody that would have to really start out doing what Trevor did before, and that's to be the liaison. And that's what Trevor did. He was liaison, and him and Drew both worked on some of the businesses that had issues, and they would come to Drew. Drew would go to Trevor, and they'd work out the issues, and it worked good, okay? But Trevor went elsewhere, and we don't have him anymore. And so we have had someone that worked in that role, and don't get me wrong, he did just fine, but he was very limited because he didn't have really a good knowledge of our town. And and he was not somebody that would travel to different places and try to recruit like what we really do need. So that's me.
If I, thanks, sir. Mr. Kane brought up a couple points that I want to address straight away. So the project growth the creep of this position moving into roles that it's not designed to do or whatever, absolutely a concern across the board. But that's what we are here for. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen, we are here to direct staff and let them know when a position is moving away from its intended purpose and into something else. I can guarantee you that this position, when I say guarantee you, I personally will stay on top of this. This person will not be doing commercial development. This person will not be a realtor. This person will be a collaborator. They'll be a collaborator with the FBA, with the West Chamber, the West Knox Farragut Chamber. They will be a collaborator with small businesses. They will be that liaison within our building, as Alderman Burnett was saying. The FBA and the chamber cannot do what a position like this does. This person is here in the building dealing with businesses as they walk in. They are out in the community meeting with the FBA and saying, what can we do to make your life better? I've been to a couple FBA meetings, and that is discussed. What can the town do better for the FBA or the chamber? And there are things out there that we need to be doing for them to make them operate more efficiently and effectively for their businesses. I kind of want to stray a little bit and going back to some other things that were said. This is a coordinator's position, not a director's position. So coordinator is not at the director's level. The coordinator will be reporting to a director. That director is also in charge of community development. Community development affects our businesses probably the most. It touches them. So if if a business walks in and tells our business liaison or economic development coordinator, hey, I'm having a problem with community development, do you think they're going to go to community development and tell them? No. They'll come to this person because this person will be the advocate. And then those two departments will go to the director and they'll hash out or work out whatever the issue is. And then the last thing is, and I want to address the newspaper article. This is the proper avenue to discuss issues. We had a meeting where this could have been discussed and hashed out, but instead it went to the newspaper. And now it's not the first time that a letter like this has gone to the newspaper. This is the second time. The ad hoc committee had a consensus that was developed. It was agreed upon in April, and then shortly after that, it went to the newspaper, where it should have either come back to the MPC or it should have come back to the Board of Mayor and Alderman, where we can have a discussion. In this instance, we were in a workshop. That's the best place to have that conversation. If it needed to go further and go into a public meeting such as this, by the way, the workshops are public meetings. You guys are invited to come to every one of our workshops. As a matter of fact, I hope you do come to our budget workshops. And I hope you reach out and tell me before the workshop so I can bring your items of concern up at that time. It is not the place to go to the newspaper to have these conversations. It creates uncertainty, it creates confusion, it creates doubt. I've had several people contact me on that article. It could be avoided by having the discussion. It could be avoided by having discussion in these meetings as it comes up. It was noticed, we got the notice a week prior. This job was in there a week prior.
Joe, I have a question about the ad hoc comment you made.
Your turn, Captain.
Okay, all right. The question was, what are you referring to about the ad hoc committee and something in April? It had nothing, I don't.
There was an email that I got my grubby little hands on that said that Bart Hose had sent out a document and said, is this the document that everybody agrees to? And there was emails going back and forth. Yes, this is the consensus agreement. Came out on April 9th. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't a consensus agreement. It was something else. There was no conversation that came to the Board of Mayor and Alderman, which you were the representative for the Board of Mayor and Alderman. Your responsibility at that time, and if I was on the board, this is how I would have handled it. Your responsibility at the time was to go to those meetings, and if there was something of concern, to bring it back to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, so the Board of Mayor and Aldermen could have this discussion.
I brought it back to the planning commission because we had only had two meetings ever.
I understand.
And we
You-
did not ever have a consensus on that document. Never did. We never did. As a committee, there was no consensus. Because the committee
Okay.
started out at about 5 people,
I'm
and we
not-
ended up at 2.
Once again, there's emails that float around that are out there, and they're public record.
Well, you just implied that there was a letter in the paper about it. There was no
There
letter
was.
in the paper about it.
They're,
Not from me. Never was a letter. You just, in your discussion there, you said there was an agreement at ad hoc, and then you said there was a letter in the paper.
no. You sent a letter to the editor.
No, not.
I'll go back and check, but I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize profusely. But this isn't the way to conduct business on the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. It creates confusion, it creates division in our community. If we're going to have these conversations, let's have these conversations here. And instead of sending a letter to the letter editor, a letter to the editor, do as the other aldermen do and bring it up in a meeting just like this. I've got concerns, let's talk about this. That's how transparency happens. Transparency doesn't happen by sending a letter, because as soon as I saw it, what I would have done is given you a phone call. Hey, Alderman Kane, what do you think about this? Because I'm not reading the same thing you are, but we can't. We can't. So we couldn't have this conversation until you brought it back here. And that's my point of that. Let's have that conversation here and not through the newspaper, because what's my next step? To send my own letter to the editor and say, hey, I disagree with all of this, and and then the next time you could respond the next week, and well, Alderman LaCroix, no, that's inefficient. It creates confusion. This is the place to have those conversations.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Smoke to weigh in, okay?
Mayor, what would you like me to weigh in on? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we've had a pretty good discussion here, and I hope that you've got enough information to where we can actually have something that's on the agenda.
Well, this position is in the budget, and it is in the draft budget that's before the board, and we'll be talking about that first reading on May, at the first meeting in May, 14th, I believe. May
Okay.
14th, right?
I'm sorry, what I meant by that is, I think from what we've discussed here, I think what is listed here, if Alex thinks there's something needs to be changed, then that's what we need to know. I think Drew and Joe both have covered pretty much what it's about. I think I did too, but if there's something else that needs to be put in it, then,
If I may, Mayor.
because it's in the budget, so I mean, if we've got to do something that's some sort of revision to it, then I don't want to hang the budget up over something that's just a difference in agreement.
If I may, Mayor, in the budget, in the budget hearings, we don't have a decision. You just take from us guidance and put that into the budget. This is the same thing. We just had this conversation again, except in a public format. The outcome is the same. It's still in the budget. You could see that the majority of us are in agreement that this position is needed. So at this point, you're just going to leave it in the budget, and then we'll have the discussion again in May?
Yes, sir. I think the point is that this is in the budget. The question would be, are the job functions and duties and responsibilities of this position the right ones? And I think that's certainly what I've been hearing feedback from the majority of you, that you like the position that's in here. We can always modify that. We can always make adjustments to that if need be. We would just need to know exactly what the board wants to change based on what we have before you right now for you to review. So we've got a couple more weeks to review that, look at that, get with me in between now and then, and then obviously have that discussion on May 14th, whenever you have first reading of the budget. If that sounds reasonable.
That's good with me. Is that good with everybody else? Okay, then let's do it.
Okay.
Then in that case,
One more thing.
Okay.
Mayor, I just wanted to make sure, we had one citizen comment that had come in for the meeting. I know we don't have agenda items necessarily to review, but if you'd like to have the one citizen forum item on there, then we could call that person up now
You've got a blue card, is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you, Mayor.
Okay, yeah, sure. Go
Allison,
right
do you
ahead.
mind reading that name into the record or having him call down?
Adjourned, so
The
it's,
citizen who will be speaking is Diane Hall at 668 Brocard Boulevard.
Hi, I'm Diane Hall, 668 Brochart Boulevard. And I wanted to bring up exactly what you're talking about right here. When you have these workshops and you don't tape them, whether it's audio or just, or do the whole video, as citizens, we can't see it. And so I agree with Alex, there's something that, we didn't get to see. I read through the economic development, and that's really not my concern right here. I have my own thoughts on it. But what I would just like to see is when you do workshops, please tape them somehow, even audio. I mean, I'm a podcast person, I'll listen to it. And then we at least, or if you don't want to tape it, hold on to it, and then you can release it later so you have something to go back to. It seems to me that you didn't really need to have this conversation here had you been able to have that available to re-listen to, or at least for the rest of the citizens to listen to. That's my only thing. I've seen that not only this last time, but I think when we had capital investment project or plan, there was another thing that came up and it went out into an editorial. So just to cut through that, I mean, I personally can't make it to the little workshops that you have. I work till 5:30, so I would appreciate being able to review it myself and not trying to figure out by either an editorial or what the paper says. And then if you have minutes, usually the minutes are so condensed, we don't get much of a feel for what you said. That's all.
hey,
Thank you.
thank you, Diane, we appreciate that. Just for clarity, because there was nothing really discussed on this subject matter during the workshop, okay? We did discuss quite a few other positions, and there was nothing on this one, and that was the big reason I brought it up tonight, so that it could be discussed in the public meeting. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that, so, but thanks for your input.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate
and I agree. I mean, I put my card in before y'all even had this discussion. It was just on my mind that I wish I could have listened to it after reading Alex's editorial, because I was like, man, there must have been a great discussion, and I missed it. And now I know there wasn't a discussion, that he had other thoughts, so that was what I was trying to get to. So, thank you.
it. Sure. Okay, David, you're up.
I have nothing to report, Mayor.
And our lawyer.
No report.
Okay, thank you. In that case, it's approximately